the Shadowfell, D&D's most terrifying plane. The one place that wants to erase you, mind, body, and soul. Today we are lore diving into the darkness, creatures, rulers, prisons, and the history, including how it's changed with every edition of D&D. That's right. I've spent 2 weeks researching a mythical plane so you don't have to. Hi friends, I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom, and you're watching Lashes and Lore, the show where I spill the tea on nerdy lore while I put on my makeup. Because why can't we blend both eyeshadow and existential dread? Welcome to the Shadowfell. It's basically the Feywild's emo twin. And if the Feywild is a chaotic music festival, the Shadowfell is the abandoned warehouse rave that got shut down by the cops, but somehow everyone's still there, numb in the darkness. So what exactly is the Shadowfell? Well, imagine that the material plane was drained of color, light, and joy. It's like someone put reality through a grayscale filter and then turned down the contrast to 0. The Shadowfell is a dark and twisted reflection of the material plane, sort of like the world has a evil twin or a goth twin who only listens to The Cure and forgot how to feel joy. Am I the goth twin? Some days. Some days. The Shadowfell is fueled by necrotic energy that slowly drains the life and emotion of anything not protected. And prolonged exposure to this energy causes emotional numbness, despair, and occasional undeath. It is home to undead shadow creatures and even corrupted animals like the Shadow Mastiff and Shadow Dragons. We'll dive deeper into those later. And despite everything, creatures like basilisks, owlbears, and wolves learn to survive here in the Shadowfell. The Shadowfell is like the Upside Down in Stranger Things. It is not a direct representation of that, but it's like it. But even more cursed, and the palette is completely in grayscale, and every single mirror whispers back to you your worst nightmare. So here's a fun nightmare. The Shadowfell is also a graveyard to dead gods, now twisted into vestiges, and they are part of what fuels the necrotic energy of the Shadowfell. Some scholars of the Forgotten Realms even believe that the Raven Queen rose to godhood by defeating one of these fading deities. These vestiges are barely sentient. They're like divine husks waiting in their temples for someone brave enough, dumb enough to light a torch near them. So, yes, your party could stumble upon a half-buried ruin, step over a crumbling altar, and accidentally wake a forgotten god who has been sulking for over 1,000 years. I mean, honestly, mood, right? Fighting an ancient god that's mad about being forgotten is like a Tuesday in the Shadowfell. Let's dive into a little of the game history regarding the Shadowfell and D&D. From 1st edition to 5th edition, there is a glamorously grim glow-up. Okay. So, before the Shadowfell found her dark aesthetic, she was a weird little shadow hallway between the planes. Then the Raven Queen moved in, painted everything black, removed all the lights, and boom, she became the poster child for black lipstick and bad decisions. But I mean, I get it. We all go through our phases, right? Black lipstick, bad decisions turns into black lipstick, positive influences. Anyway, in the 1st edition in 1977, the Plane of Shadows first appeared as a bleak in-between realm. It's vague, dangerous, and more of a teleportation hazard than an actual plane, like a magical limbo. Second edition in 1989 comes along, and now we have more monsters, like wraiths, nightwalkers, and shadow fiends. The vibe gets darker and more unstable, and shadow-based spells become more prevalent. Then the third edition in 2000, the plane of shadow gets structure and ecology. New spells like shadow conjuration and shadow evocation debut. It's also tied to the ethereal plane, so basically it becomes like the dark hallway behind the multiverse of Dungeons & Dragons. Then we get the fourth edition in 2008. It's a total rebrand at this point. The Shadowfell is born as a full-fledged plane. It's the yin to the Feywild's yang. The Raven Queen ascends, Nerul retires or gets eaten, and new creatures like the Shadar-kai and death giants emerge. Then in 2014, the 5th edition until present day, now the Shadowfell is necrotic energy central. Prolonged exposure can twist your soul, mutilate your body, or just erase any sign of hope. Yay! Character development. So we do have to discuss the major players here in the Shadowfell. Of course, we have the Raven Queen, and we did a whole video on the Raven Queen. I'll link that for you at the end. The Raven Queen. She's got the ultimate spooky girl energy. She's obsessed with fate, memory, and death. Her whole aesthetic is all black everything, but make it tragic. Current lore establishes that the Raven Queen was once an elven queen. From the Feywild, she attempted to ascend to godhood, but a corrupted ritual shattered her body and her mind. So now she kind of exists as a fragmented goddess of death and fate, ruling from a palace that is made of forgotten memories. She really commits and slays. She despises undeath. Looking at you, Vecna. And punishes those who tamper with the natural cycle of life. Her agents, the Shadar-kai, they collect memories, souls, and any debts that you might have racked up from being shady. Pun intended. So the Raven Queen is the goth deity who skipped therapy, hoards memories like they're vintage perfume bottles, and can kill your vibe and your body with just one look. And like I said, we love the Raven Queen here, but that's a whole nother video. So diving deeper into the Shadar-kai, edition by edition in D&D, we see their first incarnation in the 3rd edition, 3.0/3.5. It was basically your textbook shadow cultist vibe, and they were also known as the Shadow Fae. They were mortal fae folk who made a dramatic pact with a dark power from the shadow plane to lock the world into eternal twilight. Talk about extra. We don't need the sun. No one needs the sun. But of course that backfired. And instead of ruling an endless night, they ended up cursed with their souls bound to the plane of shadows, which is constantly trying to eat them. Real cute. Real cute. This left the 3rd edition Shadar-kai kind of bitter and vicious as heck, and basically hating all of their fae who weren't as evil as them. I mean, sometimes people don't match your vibe, but that's okay. Let them vibe somewhere else. Anyways, looks-wise, they were pale, gaunt humanoids rocking the full grayscale palette. They had gray skin, raven black eyes, and more tattoos and scarification than a Black Friday sale at Hot Topic. And since I used to manage a Hot Topic, I can make that joke. So they were basically like a monochrome elf who just discovered spike chains as an accessory for the first time. And if you weren't that kid, you knew that kid, so you know what I'm talking about. So that's the 3rd edition, angsty, shadow-cursed Shadar-kai. Then 4th edition came in and yeeted all that old lore out the window. The Shadar-kai got a full-on Raven Queen approved reboot. So instead of Fae cultist, they are now a bleak and sinister tribe of humanoids chilling in the Shadowfell. And of course, sworn to serve the Raven Queen. A little bit of that new boss who dis. That's the vibe. And in this edition, the Shadar-kai were basically thrill-seeking, ancient teenage punks. And according to the lore, they were originally humans so terrified of death that they moved to the Shadowfell and bargained with the Raven Queen for immortality. And guess what? Living in the Shadowfell, it sucks. Literally, it's so depressing. So these kids would cope with that by turning to an endless game of extreme sports. Where the fuck did my thing go? Oh, there you are. You ran away. The Shadowfell's gloom makes people numb and apathetic. So the Shadar-kai fight back by chasing every extreme sensation they can. Pain, they're after it. Pleasure, they're after it. Hedonistic excess, any rush to forestall the despair. It's very much a party hard or fade away vibe, like literally. But as long as they keep the adrenaline pumping, they stay young and fierce. And as a 40-year-old mother of the internet, I kind of get that. But if they get bored or jaded, they will just wither into nothingness. Kind of sad. Sorry for all the heavy vibes today. Nothing like the motivation of never stop, because if you do, you will die. I don't know what that's like. Maybe they're also living in the 21st century. Anyway, their aesthetic also got a serious upgrade. In 4th edition, think punk goth chic, a kind of ashy gray skin, solid black eyes that literally see into the depths of your soul, ritual scars and piercings for days. And they're all wearing outfits that scream, I just came from the set of the movie Blade. And as I said earlier, their weapons double as accessories, like the spike chain. It's so in season. Like every single Shadar-kai looks like they fell out of Heavy Metal magazine. There's some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. A full-on mashup of Hellraiser, The Craft, directed by Tim Burton, and that is the 4th edition Shadar-kai in full glam agony mode. Extravagant, extra, and extremely unbothered by the trivial things like death. We love a good glow-up, though. Then finally, 5th edition gives the Shadar-kai yet another makeover. A gloom up, if you will. They've been officially welcomed into the family. The elf family, that is. Because apparently, every mystical creature eventually becomes an elf in D&D. The Raven Queen herself got a lore glow up. Now, she was once an elven queen who ascended to godhood and dragged her Shadar-kai devotees to the Shadowfell with her. Those followers are blessed or cursed, depending on who you're asking, to follow her and serve her forever. Literally forever. Since if a Shadar-kai dies, the Raven Queen just yoinks their soul back into the Shadow Realm and respawns them for her next mission. Thanks. So, the result? The 5e Shadar-kai are basically immortal goth elves stuck in this weird state between life, death, and nearly devoid of all emotion. So basically, an Aquarius. No, it's okay, I can say that. I'm an Aquarius. I get it. So all of that extreme living in the 4th edition left the Shadar-kai numb. Now they're just stoic, dead inside agents of the Raven Queen. They still dress to impress in morose, otherworldly fashion, like ethereal goth royalty. Pale as moonlight, often adorned with raven feathers, because obviously, and carry with them an unsettling, ghostly aura. And in 5e, they pick up a neat trick. The blessing of the Raven Queen now lets them teleport in a puff of shadows. How very Wicked Witch of the West of them. But, you know, who doesn't love a dramatic entrance or exit? In 4e, they were thrill seekers. In 5e, they are memory keepers, and it's their mission from the Raven Queen to help her hoard all of the memories. They're still as glamorous and spooky as ever, but now they have more of a cool-headed, almost clinical vibe. It's the difference between the wide-eyed rock star and a finely tuned gothic operative. So in short, the Shadar-kai go full circle on the goth glam spectrum, from angry emo cultists to pain junkie goth punks to elegantly morose shadow elves. So their current phase, emotionally unavailable with teleportation powers. So still an Aquarius. We still have some big power players here in the Shadowfell. We have Shar. She is the mistress of night. She's the queen of eternal bad vibes. Shar is the goddess of darkness, loss, secrets, and forgetting. She's basically the opposite of your vision board. She does have a twin sister who is named Saloon. She is the goddess of the moon. But together, they kicked off the first major sibling rivalry in the entire multiverse of Dungeons and Dragons. Spoiler, it was real messy. Yeah. She's one of the oldest gods in the Faerunian pantheon, and she was instrumental in turning the plane of shadow into the Shadowfell during the spell plague by infusing it with necrotic energy. So we all have that one friend whose vibe is, if you cry, cry in darkness. That's her. And while the Raven Queen hoards memories, Shar is more in the business of obliterating them. Her ideal worshiper is someone who wants to forget everything and vanish into nothing. And yeah, honey, she probably would ghost you after the first date. And if the Raven Queen is all about collecting pieces of your past, then Shar is about smashing them and sending them through a black hole. And we'll touch a little bit here on Mask and Null. Mask, he is the god of thieves and shadows, and he lives in a fortress made of pure shadow. And he probably invented gaslighting, honestly. And then there's Null, who is the god of death and oblivion. And he's not so much misunderstood as he is willfully avoided. Next, we have the Dark Powers and the Domains of Dread. These mysterious entities rule Ravenloft, a collection of mini nightmares in the Shadowfell. Each Domain of Dread is a prison tailored to torment a single evil soul called a Dark Lord. And if you're in one of these, then you're probably not leaving. And if you are the Dark Lord, then you are your own worst punishment. You know, it's like an escape room where the only thing that's escaping is your sanity. Now imagine building your dream house only to realize that your neighborhood is your worst memory ever. And you can never leave. But honestly, they have done everything to deserve that. So work. And there are rules that come with the Shadowfell. Rule number 1, no light. There is no light No sun, no moon, just an eternal soul-sucking twilight. And not the good twilight with sparkly vampires and werewolves. Darkness. I'm sure somebody out there enjoys Twilight and liked that reference. Anyway, magical lights flicker and dim. Torches barely glow, and daylight spells sputter like a dollar store flashlight. Rule number 2, emotional drain. This plane actively drains joy, hope, and motivation. So it's like in winter when the sad kicks in. Are we in the Shadowfell? And regarding gameplay, players may need to make wisdom saves during rest or suffer exhaustion. The vibe here isn't just sad. It is clinical depression in spatial form. Lashes, come on now. Behave. Everyone's watching you. Well, 5 people are watching. Thanks, guys. Rule number 3, fear and madness. That doesn't sound like a rule, but it is. After 24 hours, players may start to hallucinate, experience paranoia, or go full-on ghost whisperer. And some of the monsters can actually inflict madness. It's like living in a haunted house and you are the ghost. Rule number 4, death is sticky. Characters who die in the Shadowfell may not come back right. Failing a con save upon revival could grant the undead taint, which is sunlight sensitivity, necrotic resistance, and everyone's personal favorite, a taste for flesh. Like resurrection, but make it cursed. And rule number 5, shadow corruption. If you stay for more than 7 days in the Shadowfell, charisma saves start changing. Your skin gets paler. Your emotions, they dull. And for some of us who like to detach from our emotions, that's a feat in itself. And you begin to get some shadowy side effects. It's like a really cool goth-like Instagram filter that you cannot turn off. And we have to talk about the creatures of the Shadowfell. There are some seriously creepy creatures in the Shadowfell. Case in point, the Wraith. Talk about a ghost with a bite and a grudge. They loathe the sunlight, but it does weaken them, and they thrive in the Shadowfell like they're on some kind of vacation. They are undead spirits of pure malevolence. They are created from truly evil people or curses. They can drain your life force with just a touch, and those who they kill rise as specters to serve them. Like a ghost, but vindictive and vengeful and ready to start their own multi-level marketing scheme of undeath. And then, of course, we have a shadow dragon, because your worst nightmare just grew wings. A shadow dragon isn't born. It's made when a regular dragon spends too much time in the Shadowfell. Their bodies become twisted with necrotic energy. Their bodies darken, their scales lose any shimmer, and their presence literally sucks any warmth or hope out of the air. They're now goth-like dragons with chronic resting lich face. You're welcome. But I'll stop. I get one really bad joke each video, so hopefully that's the first one. Their breath weapon is no longer fire, ice. It is a pure necrotic energy that will suck the life from you. And if you want a little bonus trauma, some of them enjoy the change. They go fully unhinged from the existential dread. It's like your favorite dragon went through a Shadowfell breakup and then came back with winged eyeliner and unresolved trauma. And then we've got the lowdown on the most terrifying sleep paralysis demon in D&D, the Nightwalker. They are colossal shadows that want you very, very, very dead. Nightwalkers are gargantuan undead beings from the negative energy plane that sometimes end up in the Shadowfell when cosmic boundaries get a little leaky, thin. They get through. They radiate something called the aura of annihilation, which is literally just snuffing out the life force of anything that comes near it. So like an energy vampire times like 1,000,000. These things are 25 feet tall, completely weightless, and they can move through things like solid matter. You cannot run, you cannot hide, you can scream. Screaming is a free action, right? So it's crying. Their touch inflicts instant necrotic damage and a strength drain. So it's like perfect for making the entire party regret their life choices. And the crazy thing is, these things are often summoned by accident when mortals try to open the negative energy plane. Like, why are you doing that? Pro tip, stop. And if you still don't get the picture, imagine Slenderman hit the gym, discovered necrotic magic, and then decided he ain't playing nice no more. No. And then the final terrifying addition to our little creature feature today, bodaks. Whew. They're walking death screams with eye contact issues. Bodaks, the unfinished dead, were what was left of a humanoid after it had been destroyed by something like pure evil, such as that of a Nightwalker, like we were talking about before. They're undead creatures devoid of any kind of soul or personality. They are cruel, relentless hunters, either of their own volition or doing the dirty work for somebody even worse. They have something called the death gaze. If you fail your save, you just drop dead. No saving throw, redemption arc, you gone. A goner. Bye. It's like locking eyes with your trauma and it decides you're the problem. No thanks. But don't worry, we are done discussing the horrifying creatures for now. Moving on to a few DM and player tips for hanging out in the Shadowfell. Tips for the DM. Build your horror out of memory, mood, and madness. The 3 M's of the Shadowfell. Doesn't everyone know them? Yep. Have the environment around them reflect the player's trauma or regret. Haunted locations where reality bends to their worst nightmare. That's just Shadowfell gold. Player tip. While this is kind of meta and above table, radiant spells and light magic are essential. Use spells like daylight, guiding bolt, or any kind of enchanted items, but do so with a warning. Any light you create may actually attract something bigger, more terrifying, so proceed with caution. Character idea. Build yourself a Shadar-kai rogue. He or she is on the run from the Raven Queen. They're still tethered to her power, haunted by guilt, and hunted by their kin. Mechanically, shadow step, necrotic resistance, and dream haunting visions. But what do I know? Go build your own characters. So to recap, no light, no joy, no therapy. The Shadowfell isn't just a spooky backdrop. It is designed to completely unravel you, mind, body, and soul. And here's our final look. A little dark, a little shadowy, a little secret, full of spooky little cutie vibes. Okay, I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom. This is Lashes and Lore, and if you want to talk some more about the Raven Queen, we had a glam sesh about her in this video here. Until next time, take good care of each other, make good choices, and as always, free mom hugs from me to you. Bye.